What is up, my viewers? Spang here, bringing you a viewer-submitted World Tanks gameplay commentary. This is a replay from 228, part of the Anvil clan, I believe, if I recall correctly. It is an assault battle on Corellia. If I could actually remember the map name for once, that'd be incredible. And it is a Tier 9 battle, although only 3 Tier 9 vehicles per team. The enemy team favored by medium tanks. The, Bond? I almost said the wrong person's name, as is kind of the way I usually do. I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to get better, but getting back to the match, as you can tell, he is driving the Russian Stronktank T-54, a very solid, reliable Tier 9 medium vehicle, and the rest of his Tier 9 allies are an E75 and a WZ-111 1-4, both pretty reliable vehicles from what I hear, although I do believe the 111 has some gun depression issues and armor isn't all too reliable. But I could be mistaken, as I've never driven it. I've never had that experience with it, although that is what friends of mine used to tell me when playing the game. But as you can tell, 228 is on the attacking team, and looking like he found a Tier 7 TD who is not even close to fully upgraded, gets a nice shot on, decides not to scope in, taking some tips from Never Aim apparently, and something I don't typically do. I usually like to zoom in. It just makes me feel more comfortable about aiming where I actually want to shoot. Rather than just firing in the general direction of the enemy. Some people, like 228 here, clearly are skilled and don't need to zoom in. Me, I certainly don't see the harm in it. A T-20 Tier 7 medium tank designed to roll right up, and he will get shot for his trouble twice, almost three times, and many shells flying, some hitting, some missing. But looks like he will possibly manage to get forward. Another Tier 7 vehicle, the Panther TD, pulling up, and certainly not going to be any sort of match for this Tier 9 medium tank. I mean, sure, it's medium tank, but as you can see, he just bounced a shot from an IS-3. Very good armor for a medium. In fact, better than some heavy tanks, because some heavy tanks are glass cannons. They have good guns and nothing else. But certainly the T-54 and Russian medium tanks in general, especially Tier 9 and up, the Tier 10s, without a doubt, have somewhat troll armor, kind of reliable armor almost, especially if you are hull down. This IS-3 going to pull out, get shot, but not get penetrated. It is important to note that 228 is firing standard AP ammo, which I believe has 200-something pen. Yeah, 201 penetration, so not the greatest. In fact, that IS-3 has better penetration than he does, being a Tier 8. But medium tanks, again, not really known for their penetration values, unless Tier 10, they're actually pretty reliable and pretty good. Looking like in the south, his team is doing a pretty good job of holding the line, although it looks like the VK4502 Alpha, the Tier 8 heavy tank, will get eliminated, although it's not that great of a vehicle. I can say that having driven it. It's a bit of a hybrid tank. It's a bit more mobile, but certainly not reliable in form of its armor. Its armor isn't terrible per se, but certainly not a reliable vehicle. But I will say this, his team is doing a good job of holding the line, especially with that Roomba Tier 8 tank destroyer sitting back on the hill, providing some cover fire. But this is assault. His team is attacking. They can't just hold the line. That is the enemy team's job. And 228 realizes that, pushing up, and with a tank and hit point advantage, his team really is in a favored position to just bring this home. Looks like 228 managing to solidify his tank's effectiveness, getting his hit points and damage done with that shot. And this IS-3 possibly going to be hurt a bit more. He will, and he is still firing standard AP ammo, so that IS-3 just not managing to angle his armor properly. It is a pike nose, so he's actually flattening out that armor that is currently facing 228. The exposed frontal armor is at less of an angle, actually, with the way it is. It looks like he took a shot there at the turret. Can't say that was the wisest decision, and it looks like the south is crumbling to the enemy forces. So I can't blame them for not pushing when they are so outmatched and outnumbered. Looks like they really can only do their best to distract the enemy, hold the line, and keep them there for as long as possible, while 228 and the rest of his allies push this northern flank, and very effectively so. Looks like the Tier 7 will get eliminated, as well as that Tiger 1 in the south taking everything, just dying in the south for 228's team. The Tiger 2 deciding to roll on up will finally damage 228. That's the first damage of the game. And he just continues to blitz forward. Can't say I agree with that. Charging headlong into superior enemy numbers, usually not a good idea. In fact, most of the time you want to fall back, be in as defensive as a position as possible. There are my words. I finally found them. And the Tiger 2 will die for his trouble. You know, charging out into the open like that, certainly, like I said, not a wise call. Looking like the Waffenträger Panzer IV, the Tier 9 Waffle, kind of sitting back, and he will get destroyed by his Tier 8 brother. and 228 really having solidified his lead here with over 3,600 points of damage. Artillery getting spotted, and 228 out for blood, honestly. He's not getting on that capture circle. He actually wants to take it to the enemy team, and looks like he will probably kill this artillery piece for kill number 3. He gets it. And the Aufklärungspanzer, Panzer, which has been replaced at this point in the game. Important to keep in mind, this is patch 9.6. If I could not be an idiot, that would be incredible. Again, working to be a more professional commentator for sure. Centurion 7-1 charging forward, Centurion 1 also coming forward. T-54, his counterpart on the enemy team, much more beaten up than him, but only slightly so, also coming to the rescue for his team's base. But at this point, it's all but over. I mean, there is only an IS-6 and a Roomba sitting back, which did, I believe, kill that Aufklärungspanzer, which has since been replaced with the SP-1C. I can't remember what that actual acronym stands for, but not really important. All I know is I call it the SPIC, and while that may offend some people, just know I'm not using it in a racially slurred term. It's just, in that name, it's kind of what it spells out, and it's a term of affection. So, no need to get butthurt, people. Come on. T-54 versus T-54. 228 coming out. Probably going to come out on top here. I mean, this team's coming to try and save him. The T-25-2 not really able to do much, and he will miss shooting directly over the engine deck because he was aiming in third person, I assume. Kill number 5, and 228 out on the hunt for kill. Ooh, barely surviving their 60 hit points. But I was going to say out on the hunt for kill number 6. And hopefully that Top Gun, still that Roomba, can very quickly ruin it. He is switching to high explosive rounds to do additional damage, trying to push that T-25-2 out in front, saying, no cap. The T-25-2 says, I want none of that, brother, and decides to sit back. But he is at full hit points. He can certainly take a shot, since that Roomba is using the lower damage gun. I believe it's a 128mm instead of these 150 sized. Okay, I had to hold my breath there for a second. I was concerned for 228's survival, and he does get a solid hit with a high explosive round and is back to armor piercing, although I'm pretty sure that was high explosive, and he does get kill number 6. The Chiri helping solidify that kill, and all that remains is that IS-6, which is spotted on the friendly hill and has since killed that friendly Roomba. So that TD, not sure how well he did, but we should know shortly. Spent most of the match on that hill, and that is where he died. So Tiger 2, it looks like. Yeah, Tiger 2 and E75 capping the base, and I can't say I'm not a little disappointed. I'm pretty sure 228 is also disappointed. IS-6 getting spotted in the final moments of the match, but not in time enough for him to die, barely surviving with 164 hit points. 228 dealing over 5,300 hit points with just a total of 22 hits apparently, but enough about that. We'll get into that in more detail in those post-game stats. And getting right into it, we see Top Gun and High Caliber, 2 awards we were more than certain he earned given these circumstances. I mean, we knew how much damage he did, and we knew how many kills he got, so certainly 228 was going to walk out with a couple medals for his trouble, but barely surviving, that is for sure. And maybe something also worth noting, okay, for a moment, I was not sure what QuickieBaby.com was doing there. So looking like the Centurion and the Roomba for the enemy team doing quite a bit of damage. His allied Roomba doing okay for himself. Really not a lot of opportunity, I guess, for him to put it to the enemy team on that hill. But that IS-6, that other Russian Stronktank on the enemy team, doing all right, especially for a tier 9. I mean, only so much can be expected. I suppose it is an IS-6. It doesn't have that strong of armor-piercing cells. In fact, I am kind of so steel wall. I was going to say curious on to what he actually got for his hits and penetrations and shots fired. So not a whole lot of action going there, but he did penetrate the shots he fired. So worth noting, to say the least. And 228 definitely coming out on top of his team, but both Russian tanks that were doing pretty well for themselves, not really surviving by much other than narrow margins. So strong tank survival skills, I suppose. Still, friendly forces, the Chiri. Ooh, that is impressive for that tier 7. I drive it. Not that much experience in it, but I do have to say it can be somewhat challenging at times, especially given the less than desirable penetration of its gun and its kind of lacking mobility and large size and no armor. I mean, I really have yet to find the way to properly play that vehicle, so gotta commend the guy for being able to make it work at least decently so. Still, looks like 228 was not running premium, so he barely came out on top when it came to ammo supply. So possibly switching to more expensive rounds, but he did fire 29 shots. I'm not quite sure how much of that cost is actually a result of the fact he might have been firing premium ammo. He might have switched here and there for higher armored targets, but I missed it if he did. Auto repair vehicle, I mean, T-54 isn't exactly the cheapest vehicle to repair, that is for sure. Still getting a whole lot of damage blocked by armor, so certainly surviving more than his tank should have. Although like I said, I said it earlier in the match, the T-54 does have good armor skills, and oh my goodness, I am so sorry for all the tripping over my words. If I could just finally able to wrap this thing up. Distance travel 2.17 kilometers. Certainly a little bit of driving, but such is the nature of assault when you're hunting down enemy tanks after running to their base to try and capture it and uproot them. So certainly the nature of that game mode, and 228 certainly performing very well for himself. So kudos to you, good sir, and thank you for sending in this replay. But anyway, that's gonna about wrap it up for this video. If you enjoyed this video, even with all my mix-ups and quirkiness, please consider hitting that like button. If you want to see more, subscribe. If you've got suggestions or something you want to share, comment section below for that. And if you've got a replay you think I should do a commentary on, definitely instructions for how to submit that, and also a lot more in the description below. But until next time, this has been Spang, and clearly I am just oh so professional.
MLG Dynamo.